Welcome to No More Desire, where we build a mindset and lifestyle for lasting recovery from porn. My name's Jake Castleman, and I'm excited to dive in with you. Let's get started, my friend. Hey, brothers, I have an announcement I'm genuinely excited about, and I want to take a minute right now to tell you all about it so you can be involved. On January 15th, 2026, I'm officially opening doors to the No More Desire Brotherhood. This is a free online community that has been in the works for a long time, and launch day is finally here. The No More Desire Brotherhood is a space for men who are serious about overcoming porn by building a recovery mindset and a recovery lifestyle together. Inside, you'll find support, accountability, and real connection. You'll take part in exclusive conversations, access content I don't share anywhere else, and engage in monthly challenges designed to help you set goals, share wins, and keep moving forward with brothers just like you. My entire course library will also live in this space for those who want to take the next step and invest further in their recovery. This community isn't just about quitting porn. It's about living with meaning, emotional stability, and daily habits that bless you and the people that you love. I've created this community to be what I needed during my years of porn addiction, and I'm personally very excited to connect on a deeper level with all of you, thousands of men who listen to this show, most of whom I haven't met yet. I want to know each of you and bring depth to this movement like never before. And if you've ever wished you had other men walking this path with you, men who get it, who won't judge you, and who are committed to this growth, this is your place. The community officially launches January 15th, but starting right now, I'm opening a pre-launch group. When you join, you will become an exclusive pre-launch member, helping found the culture of this brotherhood that will live on for years to come. As a special bonus, you will get free lifetime access to a course I've created called The 4 Pillars of Recovery. This is a foundational curriculum I've taught hundreds of times and refined over many years. It underlies everything that I do at No More Desire, and it's transformed men's lives across the world. I will release this as a paid course in the near future, but when you join the pre-launch of the online community, you'll get it for free. Not only that, you'll gain access to 5 exclusive pre-launch bonuses with this online course that you cannot get anywhere else. This opportunity will disappear January 14th at midnight, so come join us before that. To sign up, go to nomordesire.com/pre-launch or hit the link in the show notes. Aside from the bonuses and the pre-launch exclusives, I'm just so excited to meet you. So come be a part of it all, and I'll see you in there, my friend.
I experienced same-sex attraction. I was addicted to pornography, same-sex oriented. I felt very isolated, very ashamed. I felt like I was the only person. It was a quiet internal struggle that I never talked about. I think over time, especially as I got older, teenage years, puberty, and all of that, I found myself feeling a stronger pull toward men. I wouldn't have said that was same-sex attraction at that time, but the trauma that would come a little bit later in my high school years really thrusted that feeling towards men in a very strong way. I would definitely say some different interpretations where I don't belong. I'm not one of the guys.
I have clients with same-sex attraction said those same words.
What I was afraid of happening was being told I can't be in this church anymore, or I don't want to ever talk to you again.
Yeah. What was the response that you did receive? What do you do when your deepest struggles don't fit the acceptable script for Christian men? What do you do when your porn use isn't just about bodies on a screen, but about the wrong kind of bodies according to everything that you've been taught? In today's episode, we're talking about one of the most sensitive, rarely addressed topics in the recovery world: same-sex attraction, faith, and porn addiction, and the hidden stories most men never talk about. My guest is Jordan Castille. Jordan is a husband of 14 years, a father of 3, and a coach who walks with men through same-sex attraction and sexual brokenness inside a Christian faith context. For years, this was a quiet internal war he carried alone, terrified that if anyone knew, he'd be rejected by his friends, his church, and even by God. Jordan is a board-certified Christian counselor, certified Christian sex addiction specialist, and holds a master's degree in pastoral counseling. Like myself, he has dedicated his life to helping men break free from sex and pornography addiction. In our conversation, Jordan and I go straight into the fear, the secrecy, and the questions about masculinity, identity, and the spirituality that so many men carry when they struggle with same-sex attraction. We discuss the painful interpretations men often make about themselves. I'm not one of the guys, I don't belong, something is deeply wrong with me. How high school bullying and emotional wounds can get sexualized later in life, and why our fantasies often point back to our deepest needs for belonging, safety, and love. The difference between attraction and identity, and why confusing these keeps so many men stuck in shame. And how healthy, honest friendships with other men can become one of the most powerful medicines for sexual compulsion. If you're a man who wrestles with same-sex attraction, same-sex porn, or questions about what your arousal means about who you are, this conversation is for you. My hope is that as you listen, you won't just hear a story about same-sex attraction and porn, but a story about being human, about longing to belong, and about how real healing happens when we stop hiding and start letting ourselves be known. A reminder to follow this podcast, hit the notification button, and shoot me a rating so we can grow this show together. With that, we'll dive in. Welcome to the No More Desire podcast, brothers. Excellent to have you here. Today, I'm joined by Jordan Castille. So excited to have you here, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Today, the topic of our episode is, as I was saying before, this one I've wanted to address on this show and talk about. It's a really sensitive topic, and so it's one that you're well suited to talk about, Jordan. You have a personal story surrounding this, and that is same-sex attraction, and really talking about its connection to pornography addiction, to faith, to shame, and to fear, and to all these burdens that a lot of men carry. I think a lot more than many of us would anticipate. So I want to kind of start there, just introducing. Tell men a bit about you, maybe some about your story, what you're doing now, and kind of a couple of your core philosophies in doing this work, and as it relates to same-sex attraction.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. So, well, just a few things to start off with. I'm married, I have a wife. We've been married for 14 years now, and we have 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter. And our daughter was just born 8 months ago. So,
Congratulations,
uh,
man.
yeah, thanks. It's been a fun season with our kids. Yeah, so I experienced same-sex attraction. I was addicted to pornography that was same-sex oriented. And yeah, growing up in our culture, especially, I'm 44, so for quite some time, our culture really uh, put a lot of shame on people who would struggle that way and experience that. And so, yeah, I felt very isolated, very uh, ashamed for my struggle. I felt like I was the only person. And yeah, just it was a quiet internal struggle that I never talked about.
Yeah.
And um,
And when you say
mm,
struggle, Jordan, tell us more about kind of that struggle or that tug of war, what you were going through inside? Because you grew up in a faith culture, right? In a very
Hmm.
conservative culture and religion, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So talk more about what was going on inside of you in that way.
Yeah. So, as a child in my childhood, our family, we'd go to church every Sunday. We didn't miss church. Um, and, wouldn't necessarily address these things. Nobody talked about it. It was just kind of, you go to church, you hear uh, a teaching, you take communion, you ask God to forgive you of your sin, and then you leave and go about your week. And um, yeah, I think over time, especially as I got older, teenage years, puberty, and all of that, like I found myself feeling uh, a stronger pull toward men at that time. Um, and I wouldn't have said that was same sex attraction at that time. Um, but the trauma that would come a little bit later in my high school years really kind of thrusted that feeling towards men in a very strong way, to where I began consuming gay pornography when I was in college. And as I did that, uh, I became pretty isolated within myself. And I felt afraid to talk about this. I didn't feel like I had anyone I could really discuss it with. And uh, yeah, it was really, really hard. For 3 solid years, I was just on a daily basis looking at pornography multiple times a day.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
was just consuming my thoughts, consuming it's like, I was in college going to school. And so I'd, do homework and assignments and everything. But it was like almost my free thoughts were about this.
Hmm. And it just sounds just devastating emotionally and mentally, right? And this kind of this dissonance between what you grew up believing and a lot of the things that you were taught, right, about marriage and sexuality and
Hmm.
God, and carrying this weight of shame of, wow, I'm there must be something truly wrong with me, or I must be sinful, or um, what were some of these early interpretations you made
Hmm.
about yourself when you noticed that same sex attraction? And I know it kind of started with the attraction to men, some of that pull, but then became far more later. But talk about some of those interpretations that you made.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would definitely say some different interpretations where I don't belong. I'm not one of the guys.
Yeah.
Um,
I have
that was,
clients with same sex attraction said that same, like those same words. I don't belong.
yeah,
I'm not one of the guys. Yeah.
yeah. I'm an outsider.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm I'm all alone, and yeah, just pretty hopeless.
Yeah, and I'm looking down here. I'm taking notes, by the way, so I'm not,
Yeah, sure.
texting or something while you're talking, so very, very engaged with what you're saying, but you know, I don't belong. I'm not one of the guys. This and I wonder this, Jordan, when I've heard this and kinda your personal perspective, your personal experience on it, I feel like a need that's in there is there's a need of belonging, but there's also a need perhaps of feeling like I'm important or significant, or am valuable as an individual, and lacking that feeling of like I'm enough, I'm significant, I like who I am, and I feel
Hmm.
that others like who I am, just really missing that human need. Is that
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, to the basic needs of friendship, of being known, seen by others, especially from your own gender, I would say is really, really important for any human being. And especially if you experience same sex attraction like I do.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
with,
Yeah.
without having uh, good friends and ones that can know you and see you without getting scared and, you
Yep.
know, really you have companionship, healthy friendship. And yeah, uh, to me, that's been one of the most powerful experiences in my story that has been very healing to where I felt like I belong to men in a
Mhm.
good uh, and healthy way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've read Unwanted, Chase Stringer,
Hmm.
amazing book, I'm sure you know it well,
Yeah.
and, he talks about in there and, Drew's book, Outgrow Porn, also phenomenal, he talks about kind of the significance of our emotional experiences, our relational experiences as they relate to sexual attachment and attraction.
Hmm.
You talked about belonging to men and feeling having really positive, vulnerable connections with the same sex, with other men. How do you feel like that played into this when you were younger, or some of
Mm.
the different struggles emotionally you went through with this, and how that shifted with reference to these relationships with men? What were they like when you were younger? What are they like now?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. That is pretty important because in my childhood, I would say I had, some good friends along the way, but with some of them, especially kind of in early elementary, early middle school days, maybe, uh, the they would just end all of a sudden. And, it's just kind of, you're drifting like, and, there's other friend groups that they're kind of getting connected to, or, you know, maybe they act a certain way that you're just kind of like, I'm not, I don't feel like we're kind of on the same page that we used to be. And so I think that happens to a lot of us. And,
Yeah, sure. I had
um,
multiple experiences like that. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. And so, and, when you're a kid, you really don't know how to end a friendship well.
Yeah.
Um,
No, not at all. It's
um,
very new experience at that point.
yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, we,
I think I
w-
still don't know how to end a friendship well, so
yeah.
just kinda fade into non-existence. I'll just disappear.
Yeah, it does seem that way sometimes.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, my high school years, I had it was probably like three solid friends. And we would hang out quite a bit. I'm very grateful for those friendships. But, it's kind of the trauma that took place in my high school years. They saw the trauma. Um, so to give you a little backstory there,
yeah,
I I did gymnastics, and I grew up in very small town Texas, and um, people were like, "Hey, Jordan, you would be really good at being a cheerleader for our high school. You should do it," because I was really good at doing flips, uh, and so I tried out. I made it. I was the only guy on our team, and this is in the late '90s, mid to late '90s. Um, and if you've ever seen a movie, TV show about Texas high school football, my high school fit the stereotype. And
very
uh,
masculine, very extreme masculine,
mhm,
I'm imagining, yeah.
extreme masculine, and everyone revolves around the football team, and uh, tradition is just like this intense, like uh, yeah, conservative place. And, uh, and, a lot of the movies, they kind of exaggerate things to some degree, but, uh, some of it you're like, oh, that actually, I think did happen. um, and so, um, anyways, so my junior year of high school, I was actually, and I received some bullying for being a guy cheerleader, and it was kind of off and on, but my junior year, it was just kind of like as if all of a sudden I was turned on and I got called every name in the book from fag, homo, bitch, pussy,
Mm,
um,
wow.
on a regular basis. And a lot of those people were on the football team.
And I'm really surprised by that because maybe tell me more about the context because these guy cheerleaders, at least the ones that I've seen, you're hanging out with the cheerleaders, they're beautiful, they're popular, you're doing lifts, I mean, you're very physically strong. All that seems, I mean, quite awesome to me, I suppose. But did it look different for you? I mean, what was kind of the stereotype or the judgments that these guys were making?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like me doing a sport that is primarily female. Like, I must be gay
Mm,
because I'm
mhm,
doing this thing.
mhm.
Even though, I mean, even at the time, there were other schools with guys doing it. So it was kind of becoming more of a thing for that. Um,
'Cause were
but
you
and
doing more of the lifts and things like that, like holding up the girls and doing all that kind of thing? Or were you more in line with the girls doing what they were doing? Is that
so
that's what
it was a bit of both.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I would do lifts, and I mean, my skill was definitely uh, in the
The
gymnastics
tumbling.
part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, tumbling and, um,
Really quite an
but
incredible physical feat to do that. It's so odd that you'd be so bullied for it because that is an exceptional skill.
yeah, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think part of it is I was kind of breaking into, something that wasn't normal,
Right.
and people
Different. Yeah.
is different. People didn't like that different. And so it became that year became like a very difficult time.
Mm.
Uh
So hard,
and
man. So hard.
yeah,
So you
and
feel like
now
this trauma really played into then your struggles with pornography,
mhm,
uh, with same sex pornography that came up shortly thereafter in college. Is that
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as I've done kind of the fantasy work
Yeah.
of understanding my fantasy, understanding where it came from, I mean it points to that year.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Um
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and for those listening who don't know, sexual fantasy processing, right? I had Drew on the podcast, episode 110, and we go over a lot of details on that. Very powerful work, and very counterintuitive, by the way, to what most of us have been taught. We think, oh, ignore all that, don't look at it. We should just try not to think about it. But diving into it, deeply understanding it, just is so freeing. It's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, because I think I remember the first time that I did that, and it really showed me, like, I mean, I literally in the fantasy that I wrote out, I was thinking about one of my bullies, just instantly like having a sexual experience with him, and it was just it
Yeah.
was quite it was quite jarring for me. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
why am I thinking about this guy? Like,
Mhm, yes. Right. Totally. Like, logically, this makes absolutely no sense, and in my program, I take the mental mind and the emotional mind and separate them, and say they both operate by totally different rules and totally different systems of logic, quote unquote, if you will. Right? What we mentally think logically about emotions it doesn't apply. The emotional mind functions by a totally different set of rules.
So in this fantasy assignment that Drew actually had me do, I was in a small group with him. You know, imagining this guy that bullied me, I I realized, whoa, back then, 16, 17-year-old me felt rejected, alone, isolated, like something was wrong with him, not one of the guys. And in this fantasy, I'm wanting to connect sexually with this guy so I can feel accepted, known, and uh, just loved, because
Yeah.
I felt just an intense lack of love in this period of my life.
Yes. And again, if I would have heard this, 5 years ago, I would be just terribly confused by that. But once you start to understand that sexuality is symbolic, right? That we're trying to meet needs and core good desires,
Hmm.
things that we really need as human beings, emotional needs, relational needs, through sexuality, then it starts to make sense. Where, like you're saying, I want to feel loved, I want to feel seen, I want to feel known, right? And then with such an intense pain, the mind can easily, especially I would say as a man, perhaps I might be ignorant in saying that, but especially as a man, I would say our mind tends to sexualize that pain.
Yeah.
And I would say, when I say especially as a man, and I'd love for you to chime in on this, because we often don't know how to be aware of, in tune with, attuned to, and regulate our emotions. Right? We stuff them down, we make them unconscious, and so then they manifest unconsciously, right, as a sexual kind of, a sexual representation of trying to solve the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So inside your story, there were different parts of you, right, that held competing beliefs. One part of you is holding faith, one part's holding the desire, right, sexual desire, one part's holding fear or shame. Can you talk about kind of some of that inner dialogue, those burdens or beliefs that were competing inside of you? And do they compete in you now sometimes? Or do you feel like, where are you at with that now? I'd love to know that as well.
Yeah. So I would say, from a faith standpoint, I, you know, I didn't really grow in my relationship with Jesus until I was a senior in college. And so the faith aspect in my mind, it was like, oh, this thing of, a desire for homosexuality in any way is bad. I
Mhm,
just knew that.
right.
And
Yeah.
that's what culture said loudly at the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Both implicitly and explicitly. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was with me, and also with the, a spiritual aspect. Um, Shame, I mean, it took me until, so I joined my small group, in my church that I now currently still am a member of since I was a senior in college, and I work for it. Um, it took me 9 months to feel safe enough to finally share about this struggle. And I was terrified
Mm,
because the
mhm.
shame was so strong.
Yeah.
I would talk about having a struggle with pornography or masturbation. Like, I could do that. That wasn't that hard.
Right.
And, the majority of the guys that I was around in our small group, oh, yeah, me too.
Right. I
Um,
could relate to it. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So, but this one side of it that is uh, on the same sex side. Uh, I did not want to open up that can of worms and be rejected again. And but with time and my friendships in that group growing, it's like, kind of going back to the friendship question where it's like childhood versus, you know, where in life they got healthy and good. And this is where it began for me, where I experienced really good, deep, meaningful connection, really being able to share openly, being attuned to and experiencing like just a lot of fun and getting to spend time, quality time, and uh just feeling like I was one of the guys
Yeah.
when I didn't necessarily feel that way in the most traumatic years of my life.
And Jordan, can you tell people more about why that is so crucial when it comes to the experience of same sex attraction and how that relates to these having these deeply meaningful relationships with other guys that you do have now?
Yeah, I mean, and of course, college years, you have all the time in the world to, have deep and meaningful friendships.
Mm.
Today as a married man with 3 kids and full-time job, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I don't get that same time as I did,
Yeah.
in that season of life. So, but I still today I do get to have meaningful, deep friendship. Um, but yeah, I think back to those college years, and it's just like, yeah, it's like if all you did was take class, you had a lot of free time to do whatever you wanted to, and
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to in that time, like I just had so many friends when I joined this church. I mean, I just connect with people pretty easily, and um and it was just I would say it's just so helpful to feel like I belonged, because I really didn't, like I said, I didn't feel that way in childhood, and I felt accepted. I felt seen. All of these good desires were getting met in my church
Yeah.
community,
Hmm.
and I was, able to be, it was like I had, there's the group at large, and I was able to share openly in there. But then there was the smaller group where I shared, more, and specifically to the struggle, and I worked really hard to be careful about who I shared it with.
Yep.
Um, I wasn't, just all right, everyone, it's out there.
I'm going to tell anyone and everybody about, my most personal struggle and feelings. Yeah.
Yeah,
People who've earned the right, as the saying goes, right?
right, right.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. And um I want to ask this question specifically, especially for those who can really relate to this, what were you most afraid would happen when you told others about same-sex attraction that you experience? And what was the response that you
Mm,
received when you did? Obviously, being conscious of who you did express it to.
yeah. So yeah, what I was afraid of happening was being told I can't be in this church anymore, or this one,
Mm, hmm. Yeah.
or I don't want to ever talk to you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the response that you did receive?
Um, yeah, it was quite the opposite. um,
It's
it
awesome, man.
was acceptance. It was, oh, well, thanks for telling me that. Um, can I pray for you?
Wow. That's great, man. It is really great. And I think it's developed to be a much more like that nowadays than it was, 50 years ago, right? Or even not that long ago. Whereas there's more of an openness, right? There's still a lot of judgment surrounding the topic, and a lot of people who will, judge, condemn, etc. But much more openness and love. Um, yeah, on kind of related to that, many men assume that SSA or same-sex attraction automatically means something definitive about their identity as a human being. What did you learn about your sexual attraction versus your identity versus your behavior that really helped you in this journey?
Yeah, really good question and very complex. um,
I can only imagine.
yeah, so, at the time, in those early years, I would say that, I finally, when someone, I think, said same sex attraction, I was just like, oh, that feels like the word.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't really consider myself to be gay or really even bisexual in any means. Even though it was like, yeah, my arousal towards men. But I did not want to accept that about myself, um, or accept that as my identity, I would say.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Because I mean, I would just say that the biggest thing is being a follower of Jesus. I want my identity to be based off of what he says about me and not what the world says about me.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Right.
so
And it's that's very much centered in, whole truth about who you are as a human being.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Crucial.
so I would say, as I grew and understood, you know, what Jesus says about me, uh, it's like, okay, I have this struggle with same sex attraction. That was kind of the phrasing that I used.
Mhm.
And then I would say over time, it it started to change a little bit. But the a big thing that was huge for me was more of an acceptance of just my sexuality in general, because a lot of times I would actually pray when I'm experiencing temptation to look at porn again, to just say, God, just make it go away. Like, make
Yeah.
this temptation leave. It's almost like praying against my body and
Yeah.
the way that He
Yeah.
created me.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
once I began to actually accept that part of me that He built into me, the sex drive, and you know, at the heart of it, it's a really good thing and it works, and for me it works, and
Yeah.
just like most men out there. But yeah, it became like, okay, I experienced this with arousal, and I didn't probably have the words to articulate that at the time that I do now, but really accepting, like, oh, sexuality is actually a good thing, and God created it inside of us. And so my
Mhm.
prayer
Mhm.
changed from make this go away to, man, Jesus, thank you for my sexual desire. Right now, I want to honor you and ask for your help rather than shut it down.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
Right.
it's not shutting down.
No. And if I try to make it shut down, it will only come out in destructive ways in
Mhm.
my life because it has to be expressed somehow,
Yeah.
whether it be destructive or it be in really healthy ways or anything in between. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, you know, I would say it's kind of gone from I struggle to same-sex attraction to I experience same-sex attraction.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, through my the healing that I've gone through for the last, like, 20 years, I I've heard Jesus tell me, "I see you. I love you.
Hmm.
I'm with you. You are one of the guys. You're not alone. I was there."
Hmm.
Over and over in my story.
Hmm. Hmm.
And experiencing that, it's like today, still experience same sex attraction. It doesn't go away,
Right.
but the power that it had has greatly reduced.
And because that's something that you've experienced throughout your life, and I like that you make that distinction of viewing it as a struggle versus viewing it as an experience. I think this is very akin to, you know, um, I'm sure you do this same thing, but it's an Eastern philosophy in many ways, but it's also Western, which is um, emotions and thoughts do not define who I am.
Hmm.
They are things that I experience as a human being. And I think I heard that over and over again from different sources, and I never understood it until I found IFS and parts work, which really unlocked that for me to be able to view thoughts and emotions as something I'm experiencing rather than who I am. Because these parts of me aren't me, they're parts of my mind and body, they're aspects of my personality, but they're not who I am. And
Right.
that is powerful, very powerful. Um, you know, one of the things that I think of is just interpreting kind of this same-sex attraction or these fantasies more as information rather than an indictment,
Mhm.
right? And making that shift, do you feel like there was a distinct point in which you were able to start to see it more as information, something that informed you rather than defined you?
Yeah, definitely. And, you talking about the IFS model,
Mm,
uh, I actually have done quite a bit centered around parts work for myself, and I do that with others, with
mhm,
men in this line
mhm.
of work. And the thing that I I realized I connected with a part of me that experiences same sex attraction and is aroused in that way. And
Yeah.
it was like, okay, this is part of me, but it's not the whole me.
Ugh,
And
powerful.
I was able to really, connect with this part of me, understand it, understand why it wanted to take over, you know, and run the show inside of me. Uh,
And why did it want to, if I may ask that
yeah, I
question?
mean, when I connected with it, uh, I, I did this several years ago, and I even did it recently because of a challenging uh thing in my own life was really triggering it, that part of me. And so but a few years ago, the why was essentially to protect me from that childhood trauma that I talked about.
That's right.
And
A part of you that deeply wanted to protect you much as a mother or father would
mhm,
try to protect their child, just internal inside of you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that method of protecting wasn't working. It was leading to further pain, right? But
Yeah.
that's how the ego or the natural man or, kind of our minds work without guidance of self or higher self, or as it
Right.
were, Christ, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Very powerful, man. How did your relationship with God change or shift when you stopped trying to fix your attractions and instead began understanding your story, using them as information instead?
Yeah, it was, a huge shift because, I don't know about you, even if, you don't have same sex attraction, when you're just so fixated on stopping the thing,
Yes.
you're praying, like, God,
Yes.
take this thing
Take
away,
this away
stop
from
it,
me.
you know?
Right. Right.
And I, I stopped doing that and I stopped thinking about it every 5 minutes or every moment of my waking life.
Yeah.
And so it really helped me to, really focus on other things that were good in my life and enjoy life more. And then I would
Mhm.
say, you know, uh, within the last 5 years and the healing work I've been able to do, using it more as information rather than getting fixated on the struggle was more, um, yeah, it really showed me, okay, there's this story that's coming up within me from my childhood. Oh, what did I believe about myself then? Why is this triggering this story? And it's like using that framework of story work and the IFS work and then inviting Jesus into those spaces for him to come and bring his truth to where I believe those lies about myself and yeah, experience healing and greater freedom.
And it's really about using triggers as trailheads, right?
Mm,
The trailheads for deeper self-understanding and for healing if I choose to utilize them that way. And I think it's very much about approaching these emotions that pop up for me in a Christ-like way with acceptance and compassion. And I actually heard a definition for compassion the other day that really put kind of fit a puzzle piece more deeply ingrained in a much better way for me. And compassion is to suffer with,
mm,
right? And so, I want to share something somewhat briefly, kind of about what you were saying. Every 5 minutes, you were having these thoughts for years of, I remember for me, it was all about, you know, when I was, what was I, 19 or 20, I thought, if only I could overcome pornography, if only I could stop masturbating, my life would then take off. I'd finally be enough. I could finally pursue all these dreams that I have and finally have the motivation and the focus and the joy and feeling connected to people that I want. And it took me multiple years to finally realize that all those things I wanted were the answers to me overcoming the pornography and challenges with masturbation being this crutch I was going to. I needed to pursue that meaningful life and that life of true joy and connection and to be brave, put myself out there, all those things. And the story that I kind of want to share that goes along with this, and when it comes to using our triggers as information and methods for self-healing. I was at the gym a couple of months ago or so, and I um, saw a woman there who was, dressed in the usual attire many women dress in at the gym, right?
yeah.
Sports bra and all that. And so for me, as someone who struggles with a history of pornography addiction and all of that, it's triggering. It's both arousing, but it's also upsetting for me as well, because there's a part of me that says when I experience that arousal, there's kind of this feeling of craving, this fear that comes up like, oh, no, not this trigger that's coming up for me again. It's going to distract me. And now it's on my mind and now I'm fixated on it, right? That initial response um, is still there for me, right? Sometimes, many times it's not, but sometimes it still comes up, especially if I'm stressed. I know that it's going to come up. And so that reaction is not something that I can change right now, right? It can shift and has shifted over time. But my response to it, right, that's where IFS and parts work and other things and prayer and all that come in. So I recognize, and I use the rail method with my clients, which is just an IFS based framework. So recognize the protector. So I see both a manager and a firefighter there. The firefighter's that's like, let's latch on to this whole arousing experience. It's exciting and I want to get fixated and obsessed with it. And then there's the manager that's like, it's bad for you to feel any of this. You should stop feeling that. Gosh, what are you, just like this such messed up person? Your morals are all screwed up. All right, stop thinking about it. It's just trying to suppress it. And if I can appreciate both sides, one side that wants me to experience pleasure and arousal and sensation and, sensuality and, that whole thing, right? That's a really good part of me fundamentally, right? May have experienced a lot of suffering throughout its existence and throughout my life with it, but it's fundamentally good. The other part of me wants to be a moral person with high standards. It's also good. I can appreciate both sides. So recognize, appreciate, and then underneath that, getting into the insecurities is the I, right, in rail. And so for me, and this is actually, Drew's process floss is extremely similar. So this would be going in the origin story, right? That O in
Yeah.
his floss process. So, um, I went back to, okay, if I have a firefighter part of me that wants to fixate on this very attractive, beautiful woman at the gym, right? What does that go back to for me? Like, what is that part trying to do for me? And very distinctly, I had just memories of high school come up for me. The beautiful cheerleaders at school, the attractive girls at school, all that. All those people that I felt like I was an outsider. I stood on the outside of those groups of the guys who were attractive and popular, right? Who were with those girls and never feeling good enough for those girls and wanting to connect with them and really wanting to, frankly, have a sexual experience, but more so to have a relational belonging and an emotional experience of like, I feel wanted and I feel like I'm connected with someone who I'm overjoyed to be with, right? A girl who I'm just excited about. And I didn't have that in high school. And so I really moved towards this kind of teenage part of me, and invited him in and said, "Hey man, come on in. I feel that pain with you right now, right? That compassion. I'm suffering with you. I understand how painful that was for you in high school." And just being, and I'm at the gym, I'm working out and I'm just kind of doing this in my mind and being present, breathing. And I settled into that for, a minute or two with this teenage part of me. I get you, man. You want to
Yeah.
belong. You want to belong. You want to feel connected. You want to be with a woman you're excited about. Those are all good things. All good things.
Mm.
And that's underneath the insecurities or the intentions or those core good desires. Those are all good things. All good things. And just by doing that, I'm then able to take leadership, that L in rail, to, okay, I can lead these parts of me. I can be that compassionate leader. I'm here for you and I understand you. And I can say, okay, well, I want that in my marriage now. Or I want to be that loving, connected person for the people around me, and I want to cultivate relationships like that now in my life. But more importantly, it's just feeling and being with that suffering in that part of me for a while. That's so freeing. It's so freeing, just so counterintuitive because it's the opposite of what part of you thinks you should do, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um, so such good stuff, Jordan, just in everything you've shared thus far. I wanna one of the things I was curious about, maybe a bit of a tangent, but I wondered if you've seen kind of your same-sex attraction, this experience you have, as a blessing in any kind of
Mhm.
way, or if you feel like you hold gifts inside of you that are perhaps unique to you that come along with that same-sex attraction. Yeah.
Mm.
Does any of that resonate for you?
Yeah. For years, I definitely felt like this was a curse. Uh, and that again, the insecurity of something is wrong with me.
Mhm.
And I remember it's probably about, I don't know, 20 ish, maybe a little less than 20 years ago. I,
Mhm.
I was just angry with God, just
Yeah.
straight up angry that I struggle with same sex attraction. Like I just did not want that in life. And, I, it was like, I'm the one holding him accountable for
Yeah.
for this struggle happening in my life. And, invited Jesus to speak into that. And he just simply said, Jordan, you have this struggle so you can relate with others that do. And it hit my heart in a pretty powerful way to where, I mean, it shifted within me to really accept this as a gift rather than,
Mhm.
a curse.
Mhm.
And I think back to my life and, all the hard things I went through. And I'm like, man, I actually kind of being on the other side now. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful, man. What you say reminds me of an experience that I actually had at the retreat that we were at a number of
Yeah.
months ago.
Hmm.
One of the things that I've been seeking for in my life and that I feel, actually, as I'm saying it right now, it's quite amazing to me to authentically feel this. Been seeking to feel the love of God genuinely, right? Not just to say mentally, like, yeah, I know God loves me, right? And he loves me
Right.
unconditionally, but to feel it in my being. And one of the things that I was doing some is, most every morning, about 15 minutes, I'll do some journaling and parts work and get in touch with parts of me and work through maybe a hard experience I had, whether little or big, over the last 24 hours. And I was just reflecting on God. I want to, well, it was the phrase, you are his beloved son, and in
Hmm.
you he is well pleased, right?
Yeah.
And a part of me said to that, and it would be the achiever part of me. It's one of the most prominent parts of me that's led out in a lot of my life that I've been trying to help feel appreciated and calm and relaxed so it can be more balanced and other parts of me can rise up to be more equal with it. So this part of me to that says, why? Why? What have I done to deserve that love? What have I done to prove myself to be so lovable,
Hmm.
lovable unconditionally? Why would you love me like that?
Yeah.
And I felt that inside and I voiced that, recognizing that part. That's what it says, it's what it believes. And I voiced that and I sat with that for a while. I'm outside kind of walking around in the morning and just thinking and praying um and I had this very distinct um voice come into my mind. Why do I love you? I just do. And I love you because I want you to give that love to everybody around you. That is why I love you, so you can share it in abundance with the people around you.
Yeah.
And when you say you received this very distinct kind of voice or this impression of you deal with same sex attraction so you can relate to and be compassionate to others who do, that there's just something so fundamental and so powerful about that, that our weaknesses are what connect us together. And God loves us so that we can share that love with others. You're my creation, and I share that love with you so you can share with the people around you, just
Yeah.
like He does with all of us. You know, I appreciate you sharing that, man.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so, do you this and kind of shifting gears a little bit? How did SSA fuel addictive patterns differently than you think it would with heterosexual men and what they experience when it comes to pornography addiction or sexual addiction?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's pretty similar, except the content that I'm viewing is of men having sex with each other rather, a man and a woman together
Hmm. Hmm.
or a naked woman on the screen.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so just simply put that way.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's it. It's powerful that you say that too, because there are these similarities that we all share, and it's not. I think it's what would I say? Is it depolarizing? There's a word I'm looking for, but taking some of the stigma
Mm.
out of it, where it's kind of a different expression, right, of the same underlying challenges that we deal with, of the needs that we're trying to meet for connection
Yeah.
and belonging and feeling like we have a place to feel safe
Hmm.
and accepted. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think of especially, with pornography itself, you're wanting connection with a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
if it translates to real life, you acting out with a man, it's like, yeah, there's just this desire, good desires, just like, a guy with heterosexual porn would of connection,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the sexualization of the emotions that we experience leading us down that trail.
Yes. Yeah. That's good. And how do you feel like secrecy and kind of identity confusion really played into into intensifying the compulsive behavior of porn use for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely as you know, I would say that in those early years with gay pornography, I kind of ignored the identity aspect of it because I didn't want to deal with that, and it was almost as if pornography was my way of coping.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
and and so like all of this pain and hurt from years before I'm, especially if I'm alone in my apartment in college, I I don't want to deal with that. Porn will help me feel connected and better. And
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
it became quite compulsive for me in that it's like I didn't want to act out with an actual person. And porn was kind of a bit of the gateway for that.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I can't um, pinpoint anything else other than that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the other questions I definitely want to ask you, Jordan, is on the topic of masculinity.
Mm,
This is big when it comes to same-sex
yeah.
attraction, right? Um, you've been through a ton with that, I'm sure.
Mm,
What did you believe about masculinity, kind of, and what defined it? How you related to it before going through a lot of this healing journey, and how has your definition of masculinity transformed now?
mm, yeah. I mean, I feel like with masculinity, it's there's not a true definition.
Right.
Uh,
True.
this is so complex, and I think it's, in the way that God designed each man, in the world. We just express different gifts, different talents, different personality traits that God built inside of us. So I think it can be complex, and I think so with masculinity, I definitely felt, again, that thought of I'm not one of the guys, or I'm not man enough. I don't Something's wrong with me. I don't have what it takes. Those are all, big influential thoughts inside of me.
Hmm.
And I think one is like, just as I began my healing journey and really following Jesus, it's like having the fellowship of men, having community, and experiencing deep, meaningful community like that is just a powerful repair tool in my own masculinity. And, the way that I just really can express myself, be kind of loud at times, uh and just really enjoy life, enjoy nature, like all of those things where it's like, especially the kind of the toxic masculinity that has been defined out there of, you're a macho man, you know, you don't talk about emotions, you eat them. Like, it's just kind of this intense, like, uh definition or thing. And of course, culture likes to define things for us.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I would say part of it is it's what God built inside of us and for us to discover. And
Mm. Hmm.
uh and to say like there's a perfect definition of what masculinity is, I don't think there is one. And I think when we can get so hyper fixated on that and achieving that, we're we're gonna probably get disappointed in that process.
Then I'm moving away from the authenticity of self,
Right.
into now I'm taking on an identity again, and I'm putting on a mask, right?
Exactly.
This is who I'm supposed to be as a man, rather than really leaning into and cultivating who I am, just it's already in there. All the gifts
Yep.
are already there,
Yeah.
and I'm just leaning into them, you
Yeah.
know?
Leaning
Yeah.
into the self awareness of that, and, learning about what you're good at, your strengths, your values, your, you know, talents and things that, you know, you're you really enjoy doing.
Hmm. Love that, man. So good. What do you, kind of, perhaps my last question, we'll see where it
Okay.
goes. What do you say to the man who is terrified
Mm.
that his attractions mean he's not masculine or not spiritual or not normal? Or, in the same vein, if you could speak to your younger self,
Yeah.
just going everything through everything you were,
Mm.
um, what would you say to him?
Yeah, speaking to my younger self, I would just simply say, "You're normal. You're
I
not
like
some
that.
freak."
Hmm.
Um, and you're going to get through this. And like there's a lot that God has in store for you and how he's going to use you in this world and for your family. And yeah, I mean, I would say the thing I would pray for is a feeling of I'm normal.
Yeah.
And I did not feel like I was a normal man.
hmm There's really nothing we can experience that's outside the range of normal, I feel like, because our
Yeah.
experiences are just all over the map. And when someone in a group is like, oh, I struggle with this and I feel like I'm a horrible person. And then like every other guy in the group is like, yep, me too, me too,
Yeah.
me too. Right. Yep. It's true, man. Powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah. And so, thinking back to younger self, it's like, yeah, you're a normal person who struggles in life and it's hard.
Mhm.
You're going to make it through this with
Mhm.
Jesus.
Mhm. So,
And you're not some irreparable, broken, messed up individual.
I think it's so easy for us to believe that when we're going through hard things, but then we just like you're saying, struggle. I say pain, this pain and joy roller coaster that we're going through our
Yeah.
whole life. It never ends. I think for years I was fixated on this idea that I could reach a point where I only experience joy, and pain is part of life, and it
Yeah.
is, and it's there to teach me. As we said earlier,
Exactly.
it's information. It's actually a trailhead for my self-discovery and growth and healing. And yeah, yeah. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for the conversation, man. I'm gonna drop these things in the show notes, but if people want to connect with you, work with
Yeah.
you, get in better touch with you, how can they do that?
Yeah. So my website, castillecoaching.com, and my email, jordan@castillecoaching.com. Those are two great ways to connect with me.
Perfect. Love it, man. Well, thanks again, Jordan, for your time, man. Beautiful conversation. Really appreciate you. I really appreciate your courage and your authenticity, your willingness to go out and help men and to use this, what you once viewed as a curse, to become a gift, to work compassionately in other
Yeah.
men's lives. So thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Before you go, a quick reminder that the No More Desire Brotherhood launches January 15th, and right now the pre-launch is open. Join now and get free lifetime access to my 4 Pillars of Recovery course, plus exclusive bonuses only for pre-launch members. This offer ends January 14th at midnight. Again, go to nomordesire.com/pre-launch or hit the link in the show notes. I'll see you inside, my friend. Thanks for listening to No More Desire. It's a genuine blessing for me to do the work that I do, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you, my listeners, so thank you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, do me a favor. Follow this podcast, hit the notification bell, and shoot me a rating. The more people who do this, the more men this podcast will reach. So take a few minutes of your time and hit those buttons. And if you want to take your sobriety to the next level, check out my free workshop, The 8 Keys to Lose Your Desire for Porn, or my free ebook, The 10 Tools to Conquer Cravings. These are specialized pieces of content that will give you practical exercises and applied solutions to overcome porn addiction. And you can find them at nomordesire.com. As a listener of the No More Desire podcast, you are part of a worldwide movement of men who are breaking free of porn to live more impactful, meaningful, and selfless lives. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep building that recovery mindset and lifestyle. God bless. Everything expressed on the No More Desire podcast are the opinions of the host and participants,
and is for informational and educational purposes only. This podcast should not be considered mental health therapy or as a substitute thereof. It is strongly recommended that you seek out the clinical guidance of a qualified mental health professional. If you're experiencing thoughts of suicide, self-harm, or a desire to harm others, please dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room.